Let's return to our top story now. And Free State Police are facing scrutiny for their handling of the crowd outside the Bloemfontein court. Hundreds of supporters of Ace Magashule gathered in contravention of lockdown regulations to show their support for the ANC Secretary-General. Many of them were not wearing masks and there was no social distancing. For more on this, let's bring in Brigadier Sam Makhele, who's the spokesperson for the police in the Free State. Brigadier, good evening. Thank you for your time. Why didn't you break up that gathering?
Thank you, ma'am, for the opportunity to respond to this. I think earlier we have realized that the police contained the situation, especially around the court itself. But the situation when you got to Herzog Plain, it's where we realized that there was a number of people who were not wearing masks. And now one have to take calculated risk and analyze the situation, whether to respond at that time won't put any property or any other person in danger. Because if you fire, say, rubber bullets, if you put a tear gas in that situation, it's in the city center. There are people who are roaming around, who are doing their own businesses. And there might be a risk of people demolishing or damaging vehicles as well as the business properties in the area. Now, the police decided that because the law is allowing that earlier as these people were warned to put their mask on, those who had masks, they put them on. But later, after they were warned, and now they were converging in a larger numbers to a Herzog Plain, that's when we decided that rather let's register a case against those who organized this gathering, because it's illegal gathering under the Disaster Management Act, and we have to act accordingly to those who have planned and who have organized this gathering.
Brigadier, surely the police could have anticipated this. The night before, there was a big truck that was clearly going to be used as a stage for a rally. And we have seen crowds before when high-profile court appearances like this take place. I simply cannot accept that the police were unaware that there was going to be a large crowd.
Look, except at Herzog Plain, there were gatherings at different areas, and we managed to disperse those crowds without any violence. And people converged to Herzog Plain after the court proceedings. And that's when we decided that rather than dispersing these people in a city center where it can be chaotic and people might be injured who are just passing in the area, and firing a tear gas or rubber bullets in that area, as I said, it's risky for other people.
I hear you.
We want to accept that there's a concern that people were not wearing masks. That's a concern we also had, because when you act at such a large crowd, trying to arrest and do those things, there will be scufflings.
I understand.
There will be people who will
and you have made that point already, but you haven't answered my question. I'm putting it to you that there is no way you didn't know this was going to happen, because the night before we saw the truck, we knew that the crowds were coming. How could the police not have planned for this? Because at the moment, what you're doing is you're shutting the door after the horse has bolted. There was no social distancing. Half the people weren't wearing masks, and you allowed them to stay together for an extended period of time. Why did you not anticipate this?
But let's argue it from this point.
No. Why don't you answer my question, sir?
No. You can't expect me to answer a question while I'm telling you about the risks which were there. And
I understand the risk. I'm not asking you. I'm asking you why you didn't anticipate this.
Listen, ma'am, you can't just be physique without applying your mind to say, if I react in this manner, this might be the product from that. And one have to decide, as a police official who is on the ground at that moment, calculate the risks on the action you are going to take. Whether there's no property going to be damaged.
I hear you completely. I hear you completely. So let me just explain what I'm asking, because you've told me 3 times that you took a decision that it would be probably more dangerous in terms of safety to break up that crowd that had gathered. My question is different to that. I hear your point. My question is, how did you not anticipate that this crowd would gather and make sure they couldn't gather? When that truck rolled up on Thursday night, Why wasn't there a police officer or a few there saying, take this truck away, this gathering is not happening, it's not allowed, it's against the law? I'm talking about planning. I'm not talking about what happened. You took the decisions you had to take. I'm talking about not anticipating that this was going to happen.
Look, we are at the moment where after the whole thing, there's no one injured, there's no one dead, there's no property damaged. Mind you, if we could have acted, as you are saying, we could have anticipated it to happen. But the briefing in the morning to the foot soldiers was, be calm, don't be provoked in any manner, don't allow any situation which might get out of hand, which might lead to people being injured. And I think we managed that properly.
Sure.
That we are now at 7 o'clock and there's no one injured, there's no property damage.
Well, there's no one injured. There's no one injured, you're right. You were told to keep calm. Two things I'll say about that. We don't know if someone has actually contracted COVID-19 from what could be classed as super spreader event. And we've seen a lack of even-handedness from the police. And I think this is what people are angry about. We have seen restaurant protesters tear-gassed in Cape Town because they were gathering in contravention of the laws. We have seen individuals arrested, thrown into the back of police vans for not wearing masks. But no action is taken. I understand you saying that you thought it would cause more damage, but can you understand the lack of consistency problem here?
Ma'am, we are in the city centre. There's huge traffic around.
So were the restaurant protesters in Cape Town.
Who are not part of this gathering. Now you put their lives in danger by just firing haphazardly tear gas, firing the rubber bullets. That doesn't make sense. Today we could have been sitting in a situation of saying police brutality. That's how police injured other people who were just passing by. And I think people must understand it from the level of, as a police official, you are trained and you know when to act and not to act. Otherwise, if we look at the issue of masks, is the responsibility of every citizen. And we agree that there is a law which says it must be enforced. But when people don't want to take responsibility and put themselves in a very dangerous situation of, in the end, they will end up infecting other people. The police are there to make sure that they manage the situation in the manner that you don't get a chaotic situation. And I think that's the steps we took during the day today.
All right, well, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. That was Brigadier Sam Makhele, spokesperson for the police in the Free State.